Good afternoon. Today I'm going to tell you about effects pedals that you can use on your electric guitar. There are a phenomenal amount of different pedals out there today. I was looking at when I started, there were not that many pedals. I did have quite a selection though. And today you can get multi-effects pedals, you can get effects on amplifiers, or you can get individual pedals. That's my personal choice, is the individual pedals. I want to go through some of the pedals that I've used and let you listen to what they sound like. The amp effects, which are like this. This is a Roland Microcube, and you can see here we've got lots of different effects, echoes and flangers and reverbs and phasers and things. The unfortunate thing about those is you have to select the effects and stick with them. You can't use a pedal to change them. Multi-effects pedals have a phenomenal amount of things in them that are quite totally unnecessary, you'd never use. But they're okay. I do think multi-effects pedals can sound very artificial sometimes, and if you record with them, not all of them, if you record with them they can sound, if it's a distortion, quite buzzy and quite false. I use pedals like this, individual pedals. When I first started out they were about this big, but they've shrunk a little bit and they sound very good. They are analog mainly, and you can have them in a nice box to keep them in. So that's my personal choice. I'm going to go through some of the pedals. I'll describe what that pedal does, and then we'll have a listen to what it sounds like. The first types of pedals are the gain pedals. Sometimes they're called boost pedals, and they boost the sound of your guitar without having to turn the amp up, which gives a distorted effect. So if you can imagine you turn your amp up to full volume, it would distort the speaker, and that's what the distortion pedal does, without you having to turn your amp up. Okay, so the first one is a distortion, and it sounds like this. The second pedal is a compression pedal, and what this does, it takes the high sounding notes and the low sounding notes and compresses them, so it brings the volume of the high notes down and the volume of the low notes up, so it becomes a more balanced sound. This is a pedal I use all the time, so that if you play a nice gentle note, it'll sound as loud as the loud notes if you bring them down, and it just helps keep all the sound even. If you use it with a distortion pedal, it makes a nice smooth distortion sound. If I play a quiet note without the compression, it's very quiet. If I play a loud note, it's quite loud, and the difference between the low and the high is quite widespread. If I now turn the compression on, okay, and I play a quiet note, it's a lot louder than it was before, and the loud notes are a lot quieter. So the compression, or the compressor pedal, has compressed or brought the high volume down, the low volume up, to create a smaller bandwidth of volume. The next one is the Overdrive. It's very similar to the distortion. Gives you just a slight bit of distortion though. It overdrives what you're playing through your guitar, so it doesn't distort it fully. It just twists it a little bit and makes it a little bit grittier, a little bit grungier sort of sound. This one is a fuzz. My first pedal was a big muff, which was a fuzz box, and it gives you this buzzy, fuzzy sound. A lot of early 70s, 80s players used to use fuzz boxes, and it doesn't sound buzzy too much, but it gives you that a nice fuzzy, increased amount of sustain on your sound. A wild, uncontrolled sound. The next category is the time-based pedal. This changes the timing of your guitar signal, either to create an echo or a reverb, so it sounds like you're in a big church or a hall, and also for looping too. That's a time-based pedal. The first one is the delay pedal. They are programmable, so you can change the length of the time of the echo. So you can play a note and it will play in a microsecond, or it will play in 2 seconds or 3 seconds, so that it sounds like you're echoing. The delay pedal is just going to repeat everything I play. With a short delay, you can hear it just a microsecond after I play the note. If I increase the delay or the time, you can hear it echoes a lot longer. Okay. To the point where if you buy a looper, I haven't got a looper to show you, but if you get a looper, you can do it for seconds, lots of seconds, depending on the memory of the looper. So you can play a phrase and then the looper will repeat the phrase, like an echo repeats that note. It will repeat the phrase and you can play over that phrase. So the echo really is a very small looper. And the feedback on the pedal determines how many times the echo will repeat. So a short feedback time will repeat once, and a long feedback will repeat indefinitely. Reverb is also a time delay pedal. It can make you sound like you're in a small room, a little box room, or it can make you sound like you're in a huge concert hall or a huge church. It's like a delay pedal. It can be programmed to repeat a section, but it focuses really on an atmospheric sound or an atmospheric feel, and it bounces around as if you were sort of reverberating in a given space, and you can create that space with the knobs on the reverb to make a short reverb in a small room, or a long reverb in a church. Without reverb, or without using reverb, it sounds like you're in the room. It sounds like you're here. If I turn that up slightly, you can just hear a slight reverb, and the more I turn the reverb up, the more distant the guitar becomes, until I turn it right up. It sounds like you're in a huge cavern. The other time-based pedal that I have is a looper, and what a looper does is a bit like a recorder. It records you playing a section of a song, and then it will play that back so that you can play over what you've already played, and you can double track or treble track, or depends on the memory of the looper, so you can do it quite a few times. You could maybe create a drum beat by hitting the guitar and then play a rhythm and then play a solo. This is something not developed, but used a lot by Ed Sheeran and other musicians like Katie Tunstall. She uses that quite a lot too. The next type or category is modulation pedals. They alter the signal of the guitar in various ways. It can tweak the pitch or the volume, or sometimes it can delay one signal, or it can duplicate the signal from your guitar and overlay these signals to give you something entirely new. Examples include a chorus, a tremolo and phasers, and you'll hear these a lot in the 80s and 70s and 80s and still today as well. If you learn about how these pedals work, because the phaser and the flanger are quite similar, but not if you get to play it, and you'll see what I mean when I play the pedals. So the first modulation type is the chorus pedal. What this does, it splits the signal of your guitar and then it duplicates it. So you have two signals that sound exactly the same together, but the result is richer. It's a lot thicker sound, and then what it does, it sort of it modulates the pitch of the guitar signal, and it produces a higher or lower pitch to give a variance in the choral effect. You can get a stereo chorus, which is great. It really does enhance the thickness of the guitar. I use these pedals most of the time on a clean guitar. I don't use it on a distorted or fuzz guitar, but more on a clean sound, and it gives a nice warm enhanced sound to the guitar. The chorus pedals like having a surround sound in your amp, and it spreads the signal, and it just makes it feel warmer. I always have a chorus pedal when I'm playing clean sounds. Without the chorus pedal, okay, sounds pretty bland. Put the pedal on, it goes like this. The tremolo, you have a tremolo arm on a guitar, and what the tremolo arm does is it changes the pitch of the note. Okay, so if you push the tremolo arm in, the pitch goes lower, and as you release it, it goes higher. With a tremolo pedal, it doesn't do that. It raises and lowers the volume of your guitar's signal. So it's quiet, loud, doesn't bend the notes, it changes the volume and creates that tremolo warbly effect. The tremolo in a pedal changes the volume from low to high. You might have a tremolo arm which doesn't actually change the volume, it changes the pitch. So a pedal is quite different from a tremolo arm. So this is the pedal. You can hear the volume change from low to high, giving a whoa, 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 whoa sort of sound. And you can change the depth of the volume of the pedal, but you can also change the speed of the tremolo. So if I turn the tremolo up, you can hear the speed change of the tremolo. The phaser is sort of a psychedelic whirring sound. It was originally intended to replicate the sound of an organ, a church organ, but heavier, and in sort of a slightly more distorted way. It's a very distinctive sound, and it's used quite a lot with a distortion. I used to use it when I played Spirit of Radio. The intro of that uses a phaser, and it's sort of they have a different rate, so you can go quicker and slower, but also a depth control as well. So it can be really sort of full on or just mellow in the background. So you can speed it up, or you can create a bigger signal that punches right through, so everybody can hear that. A phaser gives a nice lovely whooshing sound. Okay, and I like to play it on things like this. flanger is quite similar to a phaser, but it gives you a much wetter sound. A flanger happens when the signal is split again into two, just like the phaser, but one is delayed and then put back on top of the other. So you've got one signal and one signal slightly behind. And in the old days, they used to use a tape, and they'd put the finger on the tape to slow it down, so that tape sound was behind the original sound, and it gave a flanging sound. And it's a sort of a whooshing sound, and it's sort of a constant up and down phasing and flanging of the guitar sound. The flanger is very much like the phaser, but you get a sort of a mechanical, psychedelic, weird sound like this. You hear that in the background, that wave in the background. The last one that I'll talk about is the frequency pedals. There's one main frequency pedal, so there are other ones that you'll see on the market, and it takes your guitar signal and it changes the frequency of the guitar sound. One very common frequency pedal is the wah-wah pedal, or the wah pedal. And it gives a sort of the 70s shaft feeling. You might not know what shaft is, but if you look up shaft on YouTube and listen to the beginning, it's like sort of a waka 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 sound, which you'll hear when I play the pedal for you. The last pedal is the wah wah. Very 70s shaft style sound, or long train running. It's great when you do percussive.